I'm Paul Cappon, and have the privilege of being the chair of the Policy Action Group on Learning, which is a wonderful product of the Commission on Globalization. And our job is to report to people around the world about how we can really work towards learning for all, not just education for all, but learning right across the life cycle, from the beginning of life right to the end of life. Learning is like breathing. When you stop learning, you might as well stop breathing. And so this is the understanding that we're trying to bring, and in bringing this understanding to people, we want to make recommendations to the actors, interveners across the world so that they can actually work on learning across the life cycle.
And besides being the president of PHL, I think you have a very important role to play in Canada. If you just present what you do there.
So I'm the CEO of the Canadian Council on Learning, which is the learning organization for Canada. It's national from coast to coast to coast, and it looks at learning right across the life cycle, not just in school, not just in university and in college, but learning in all aspects of life.
Wasan Island became kind of a home here for that group, for the international members of the PHL, and we meet here since 2002. I would love if you bring up in a short what we already achieved and what the special event in 2010 is.
Let me just speak about the previous years for a bit first, because 2002, that's 8 years ago. So the Wasan Island is the home away from home for those of us who are members of the PGL. That's very important because the reflection that we're able to do here, we wouldn't be able to accomplish in a hotel sitting in Toronto or Montreal or Berlin. So that's been very important. This year is particularly significant because the G8 leaders and the G20 leaders have been meeting in Canada. And we've been working on a report, a review of Education for All, which is supposed by 2015 to make education accessible to people around the world in a very equal way. So the big question was, how successful has the world been? And how could we be more successful? What could we do differently that would allow people to achieve learning lifelong as well as education access? And we have come up with recommendations or with orientations and directions based on some principles that we think are really important. I'm calling them organizing principles, meaning if we take those attitudes, if we work in this way, for example, if we look at not just gaps, but at assets, if we look at local solutions, if we give people credit for being able to do things locally, we'll be able to achieve a lot more than we have so far. So I think that these 10 organizing principles and our new way of thinking about learning is going to be very important, and we're going to be bringing out this report, both the report, a critical review in Education for All, how much progress it's made, but also, more importantly, what we need to do in the future in order to be successful in every country, not just the poor countries, but in the OECD countries as well.
Thank you very much.